Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on Business for Breakfast. This Friday, it's a Friday and we're going into the weekend. I hope your mood is already vibed because today we are talking business and we are so excited. I am your host, Prudence Chota, and I am joined by my co-host who's going to introduce himself.
Well, I'm Patrick Soko, and today I'm with Prudence Chota. I'm usually with Sharon Kalimbula. Well, interesting one. We have a number of activities lined up on the Camnet breakfast business. To be specific, we have the Honorable Minister of Commerce and Trade and Industry, Mr. Chipoka Mulenga, who is going to be part of us on the stage so that we can discuss pertinent issues pertaining to trade. We'll also be talking about issues pertaining to disabilities because today is World
Disability Day.
And we'll talk about the concept of empowerment because persons with disabilities also need empowerment, access to business, capital, all those things. We'll try to look at them. And we'll also go into money market shortly after this short break.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Boost. I'm sure you've been following our programs and not just watching but also trying to exercise. So welcome, and today we're going to be working on the abs. All right, let's go. Warm up. Let's go. Same jumping jacks. Instead of going all the way up, this time here we go. That's your warm-up today. Go. So that's a 1 minute warm up. Let's do some abs workout now. Okay. As you can see, I came with a bottle of water. We're going to do some Russian twist. There you go. Get a bottle, put it down there. If you have a dumbbell, good for you. I'm going to sit here, working on the abs. Lean back a bit. There you go. 1. 7. 10. Okay. Go to the second one. We're going to come back to this one. Here we go. Lie down. That was 10. I'm going to do another 10. Let's go. That's 10. Bring back the bottle. Let's go 10. Eight and 9. 10. Go down. Let's go 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the set, which is 40. If you want after that, you can take a break. Let's do another one now. Still on the abs. Okay. I'm going to be now sliding on the side. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 15-second break, then you go back to the workout again. Another 10, let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
How many?
8, 9.
10 for those that are watching on Facebook. So that's 20. Here we go now. Elbow to knee crunches. And then we start doing it. Okay.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Change.
Go.
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right. So you've done your abs workout for today. And we do that again. And it's going to work out fantastic for you. Let's cool down. I only have seconds to my 5 minutes now. And very soon I'll be signing out. So that's how you do your abs workout. We did 3, if you noticed. So let's go march and start cooling down. March, march, march. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I've enjoyed my session with you. Looking forward to train with you again. Let's go.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to Camnet TV. So as we introduced earlier, we are discussing business for breakfast, and we are joined by the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Mr. Chipoka Mulenga, sorry, pardon me. As you know, the issue of trade have been a concern in Zambia for quite some time, Patrick Soko. And you know, there's been all this talking going around of what is happening in the area of trade, because we are seeing a lot of businesses coming up, we are seeing a lot of foreign businesses being established. We've heard cries from some people saying, no, the foreign investors are taking over our businesses and stuff like that. They are now doing the business that is supposed to be done by the local people and everything that has to do with that. So we said, okay, let's invite the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry so that we can discuss and make people understand what is really going on in the trading sector. So we are joined by Mr. Chipoka Mulenga, the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Minister, welcome to the program.
Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much. So Patrick Soko, as I said earlier, what are some of the issues that you've heard concerning the issue of trade?
Well, you know, Prudence, like you explained in your preamble, so we'll give our the Honorable Minister enough space to explain to our viewers there, because trade is something we are focusing on as a country, especially that under the new Dawn government, there's that arrangement of ensuring that there is focus towards exports. So the Minister will seek your clarity regarding the role of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, for the sake of our viewers and traders there, to understand what is the role of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, to be specific.
Okay, it's actually Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Well, the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, the responsibility is very simple. It is mother to the economy. It anchors purely on everything to do with the economy. So it cuts across all sectors in this country, be it in the agricultural sector, production sector, mining sector, every sector you can talk about. How business is done locally, whether there's favorable and conducive environment for the local business personnel, whether there is undue influence happening, or there is collusion between or among business sectors at the disadvantage of the consumers. That's why you see Consumer Protection Commission and foreign trade, whether we are trading with the international community favorably, whether Zambia is losing out, Zambia is not losing out, and it's responsible also for attracting investment in the country. These foreign direct investments you see, where you see we have attracted investors coming in the country, and sometimes even privatization itself. If we choose to say we're going to get rid of this business, it's not viable for us, we need to bring in investors that are going to partner with us so that we make our business sustainable. We are responsible now. Well, even now, when you talk about industries, every industry you can think about. As long as it exists, the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry is responsible for industries to succeed, for industries to be established, for industries to be sustained, for industries to get better. Even those that are closed, our responsibility is to see them revived. Like right now, my ministry, we are working so hard to see that among many other industries which were closed, sometime back in with successive governments, we had seen where they could say we are opening this industry only when there are elections. But after being voted in, 2 months later, they close them down. So those are not things that we want. My ministry is committed to seeing that we open those industries, they run and succeed. And those are not the only industries that we have to open. We should even open more new ones of the like so that they continue working. So job creation is primarily my business and sustaining the economy.
And we'll be talking more about that, those industries later on. But we also want to get a distinction between the two ministries. Now that we have a baby ministry, which is the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, what are the distinctions? Because people may be seeking your clarity on issues that concern that other ministry. So what are the distinctions between the two?
There is everything different about Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Like I told you, MCT, Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, is a whole approach kind of ministry which deals with everything in this country. Then the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise and Cooperatives is an extract from the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. It deals primarily with small and medium enterprises and cooperatives in this country. And I'll tell you, in as much as I say it's an extract, it is one of the major components that will transform the living standards of the Zambian people in this country. For a very long time, there has been neglect on how SMEs will function. But deliberately, the New Dawn government, under the leadership of the President, Hakainde Hichilema, has seen it fit to see that we have a deliberate ministry primarily and focusing on the interests of building startup businesses, small and medium enterprises, that they are given the attention that is due to them, such that we'll focus on them, empower them, help them to grow and flourish, and eventually graduate from SMEs into major players in the economy. For a very long time, we've neglected SMEs. Zambians have got ambitions and visions to start businesses, but there has not been anyone there to support them. So my ministry, Commerce, Trade and Industry, provides facilities, provides legislations, provide an environment where the SMEs will be supported and thrive and grow. And we do this through having a lot of stakeholder engagement, through my agencies like Zambia Development Agency, PACRA, among many other agencies which are giving support to the SMEs. Registration is under my ministry. So, for a very long time, we've had to register a company, a business in Zambia, you need about maybe even 20 licenses, and it will cost you a fortune. Other people fail even to start up businesses because all the money is spent in registrations. Registrations that will even take a month or even 6 months before you can get your certificate. But we're trying to revive how those things are done. We want to have a one-stop shop where all registrations should be done. And this registration should not be of 20 licenses. If anything, we're trying to migrate now into a one-license policy where you get 1 or 2 licenses, your company is registered. Because in Zambia, we've come to realize for a very long time, people's dreams die in the process of registration before even their companies could be set up. But we want to focus on supporting these SMEs so that once they go and register quickly, the minister himself, very well able Minister Honorable Elias Mubanga, he's focused on making sure that cooperatives are successful. And they're not just going to be set up, given money, and they run. No, there will be serious capacity building that will be going on. Because teams that are going to start empowering these SMEs and cooperatives are really being trained right now as we speak. So that they go into capacity building, having workshops, so that once a business is given, revenue is being sourced for them, they do the business once, right the first time, and succeed. By the way, we must understand, as a government, we have committed to the 2030 Millennium Development Goals of making Zambia a middle-income earning state. Because I can assure you, right now as we stand, there's no middle-income state. There's only the Pamwambas and the bottom ones. So we need now to migrate to that level where we have got Zambians that are, I want one day when I look at Basoko, Soko should have been made a millionaire from what we did as a government. This is the only country which has got no deliberate policy of making its citizens rich. So this is what we're talking about now. COVID has exposed us. Everything that we need to be supported, we get donor aid. But look at Nigeria. Nigeria, the billionaires of Nigeria themselves got together, funded themselves. Even in the Congo, it's happening. Even in South Africa, it's happening. Why not us? We need to build SMEs. We need to build cooperatives from the SMEs into that middle income set where there will be self-sustainability. We look forward as a New Dawn government to seeing our very local people to be self-sustainable, having businesses that are running, that are worthy to look at and say, we've supported an enterprise.
Interesting.
Yes.
You have given a distinction on that, I think, now. I think it is clear now. Prudence, you have a question for the Minister.
Yes, Minister. You've talked about promoting our own SMEs to become self-sustainable. But what we have realized, or what we have noted, is a lot of businesses are complaining to say, we have seen an influx of foreign investors who've come and are doing equally the same business as that of the local people, and it is disadvantaging them somehow. So maybe, Honorable Minister, the United Party for National Development Administration, what is their policy with regards to foreign investment?
I'll be very honest with you. There is no country that will survive or will do everything on their own without foreign direct investment. Even the biggest economy in this world, like America, has got foreign direct investment. Even the second biggest economy, China, has got foreign direct investment. So even ourselves, foreign direct investment, we want it. But we have learned our lessons. We have seen in the recent past where we've got so many FDIs, foreign direct investment, setting up in this country. But what have we got to show as a country of success? Absolutely nothing. If anything, the more we've got these investors coming in this country, the more the poverty numbers have been increasing. Look at our economy. It has continued to plummet. When we've got these investors coming on board, the reason why, look, you can have the investment, you can have the foreign direct investment, but it's about the policies that you have set up where there should be a win-win situation between the foreign direct investors and the local investors or the country itself. We have a country where in the past, including now, we are just waiting on the legislation to be changed, where you have said foreigners can expropriate all the money that they make, 100%. The only money that comes into Zambia from the foreign direct investment we have are salaries for people. No tangible investment in the local banks from the investors we're talking about, yet they declare huge amounts of profits. They come and own everything 100%. At the expense of the Zambian people. They come and own land. We have seen it. They're even selling land to us now.
Yes.
You see, they're even selling land to us. That's a lot of... No, it's all wrong. But now we are trying to revive all that and revisit that. Every investor that comes to this country, it's not yet legislated, but we are working on it, on a framework that is conducive. Every investor that comes to Zambia must partner with a Zambian. It's non-negotiable. That's the only look. We've been talking about transfer skills, or transfer of skills from the foreigners into the locals. It never happens. Why? Because Zambians are not partners into that investment that comes in. It's not only about transfer of skill, even transfer of revenue and resources. Look, we are not trying to ask for too much. Investors who come to this country, they don't do us a favor. Neither do we do them a favor by offering whatever resources we have. It is business transaction. They have to win, we have to win. They have the money, we have the resources. So that's where we have to meet in between. They can have the money, but the liquidity itself. But they can't keep it growing without the resources we have. We have the resources, but we can't make more out of it if we don't take advantage of the money they have. So we have to meet somewhere. And they are very much willing to come and work with us. All that there is, that has been lacking is negotiation. Sitting around the table and saying, this is what we have, this is what you have, let's put it together. It was a mockery and an insult in the past where people used to say, all contracts can be given to foreigners. And let's just reserve 20% for Zambians. How do you reserve 20% for yourselves over your own materials which God has blessed you with? Where on earth will you even get 80% if in your country you limit yourselves to 20%? That thing is coming to an end very soon. So we want to be stakeholders in everything that is happening. You're setting up anything, you partner with Zambians. You want an investment license in Zambia, you partner with Zambians. Imagine if you are talking about 20 or 50% or 40% shares in all these enterprises kept, and the money that is being earned is being deposited in Zambian accounts, the economy will just drastically change. That's our focus.
Honorable, are you going to put preferences for some sectors? Because we see, let's say, the poultry industry, Zambians are well able to do that. And even at community level, we see small businesses like businesses to do with owning a shop being run by foreigners like Rwandese, all such kind of arrangement. Are you going to also make preferences to say this sector think we are well able to manage ourselves? Maybe the investors should focus on other big projects so that which Zambians have no capacity on.
Before I even answer that question, I need to satisfy the last question that you asked about what are we doing for the local industries. We need to protect local industries. Whatever foreign direct investment we are going to attract in Zambia should be supplementary to the mark this word. It should be supplementary because our focus is the local entrepreneurs, how we grow them, and we have to protect the industry. We will not bring an industry. Suppose Prudence or yourself, Mr. Soko, you put up a soap industry. If you put up a soap industry which is growing, we should allow it to grow. My ministry is focused to making sure that your industry grows. We will not bring a foreign company that is going to start competing with you, which has got millions of dollars and easier of access to finances from where they are coming to compete with you. We should allow your soap industry to grow. Even if it is bad, it is our bad soap. It is Zambian bad soap. Until it grows to an extent where we say, okay, fine, now it can compete at an international platform. That's our focus. Now, coming to the question which you have just asked me, a very good question to say, we have seen businesses that can be done by Zambians, but foreigners are doing them. You are very right. We have seen people start up shops, foreign nationals and the rest of them. We can't kick them out just like that, okay? All we need to do is, because many Zambians could have done that, but they haven't done it because they have no liquidity. So the first thing that we have to do is make access to finances in Zambia easy for our people. Look at the banks that we have. Almost all of them are foreign owned. And those banks, deliberately, they were set up in this country to give money easily to the companies that are coming from the countries where they originated from.
Exactly.
When you come to the Zambians here, to go and get a loan from there, it is almost impossible. And they have put very small little prints down there, which you don't know that they are so punitive to you. You flaunt it easily, they start cutting money from you. We have seen it. My ministry has been engaging through myself, and I was in South Africa not very long ago. I went to the Standard Bank headquarters where I had a meeting, and we had a very, very progressive meeting where we were saying, the same facilities you have from your countries of origin, bring them to this country. When you go to these countries, you want to get a loan, they'll sit with you, run you with a project proposal, run you with a business plan, and they'll tell you, this business you're doing, when you invest today, you're going to start, you break even after 3 months, after the 4th month, you start making a profit. Then in the 5th month, we start deducting you. But in Zambia, before they even give you a loan, there's a negative in your bank. They start deducting you from the same loan they've given you before, you invest it. Those are things we want to change. Facilities of loans must be easy for SMEs and for the Zambian people. Once our Zambian people have access to money, then we're going to say, okay, now this business, we are doing it. I think now we can compete favorably or we can set it up ourselves. But for now, I can assure you, even these same people you're calling the foreigners that have set up these things, and I'll be very careful in mentioning countries, because we've got a lot of them, and we've lived very well with all of them. But because they've come with liquidity from where they're coming from.
Exactly.
So we need first to create an environment where our people also have money, and we are working towards that. It's a pity that, look, when the president mentioned to say we've inherited an empty coffer, you think it's a joke. It is true, it's literally as it is. But I can assure you, we are not sitting to lament to say this is an empty coffer, so we can't do anything about it. That's why the Zambian people trusted us to take over leadership, because they know we are the people that will replenish the coffers, will fill it up, and that's what we're going to do, so that you and I have access to that revenue. There should be even and equal distribution of the Zambian wealth. There is enough for everyone to share. As long as you've got prudent leadership, that will make everybody have an access to it. Well,
dear viewers, in case you're just joining us, we are hosting Honorable Chipoka Mulenga, the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. We are discussing issues pertaining to trade under the new Dawn government, especially that now there are 100 days in office. So we are unpacking that. But in case you want to also participate on the program, you can dial the number that is scrolling on your screens to engage the Minister regarding issues you feel are pertinent to yourselves. And Prudence, what are some of the issues that have been also trending, especially especially as far as the news is concerned, which you feel the minister has to respond to as well?
Okay. Even before I go to that, maybe Minister, when you were explaining, I did hear you say we want to ensure that when the companies are registering businesses, the local people are engaged. So I had an experience one time at CEEC, that is Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission, where I was trying to apply for some facility, of course, resources. So when I was in the office, this man walks in, Minister, and he came to register. I think he was trying to register a business, something like that. And according to CEEC's regulations, the company, before it is registered, there is supposed to be a component of a local person in that. So when that person was trying to register the business, he was given 1% share into that whole company. So when he was trying to register the business, the guy who was attending to him told him to say, you can't get 1%, at least it has to be 5% and above. And you know, the guy kept arguing, and I got in an argument with the guy. So when I sat and I was observing, there was something that stood out. It's like this person, Minister, did not even understand what the whole issue is about. Okay, before we get to that, we've got a caller on the line. Good morning, you are through to the program.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, you were explaining something, Prudence.
Yeah, we lost the caller. So yeah, they kept arguing. And you know, one thing that stood out was the fact that this person did not even understand what is contained when you're registering a company. It's like someone just got him from the street and told him, we are going to give you 1%, so go and register this business for us. So Minister, in order to ensure that we don't have such issues where when someone wants to register a business, they take advantage of someone's ignorance to just say, go and register the business, what are you going to do to ensure that the local people who the foreigners or the foreign investors are partnering with are genuine and they just don't pick anyone from the streets?
Okay, that's good. I'll tell you something.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, you are through to Camnet TV. Your names and where you're calling us from?
Okay, my name is
Okay, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, I really just to appreciate the those government to what they are doing to this country. Compared to the previous government which was there, the previous government which was there, I think it was the FCA. It was really killing people. They never had the idea that government raising those stuff of helping the citizens. They left themselves. So I'm very happy that I'm very happy looking the things that are the good in those government. And the other thing that I want to speak to the previous government which was there, they don't specialize. They use those government to give them what you know, they realize more, they never see anything. But whenever I am saying that is being government. That's what why we want to
All right, before we proceed, for those who are intending to make a call, please let it be a question or a contribution, and don't attack the former administration. We know they did their part, and we want the new government to also be given an opportunity to do something. So we are going to give a chance to the minister to respond to the question that was there before the caller came through. Minister.
Okay. It's just about, not really a question, it's just a comment that I really have to make. We must understand that you talked about the CEC.
Yes.
Yeah, not everything that the PF did was bad. There were very good policies that they came up with, but the execution part is what was very bad. They could not execute things to the best interest of the Zambian people. Look at CEEC. It was a pool of funds which was meant to support the Zambians. And that same officer that you're talking about did very well to advise my colleague to say, you need to increase your shareholding here for you to have access to these funds. Look, the Zambian government sets up a pool of funds for Zambian people to have access to. But you go and start bringing foreigners to have access to your own money, which you're creating, and you're being unfair to yourself. What we are asking you, what the president is requesting from you, what the vice president is requesting from you, what the UPND leadership is asking from the Zambian people is, number one, before you start doing anything, be patriotic. You must understand that you only have this country. Do not steal from government, because you're stealing from yourself. You're stealing from your grandchildren. You're stealing from from your generations to come, even long after you're gone. So whenever you're trying to make a policy that is good for you and those that will come after you when you're long gone. Because that is our aspiration as a new dawn government. We want to save this country, even beyond what we promised the Zambian people. So that our legacy should outlive us. But when we say, like, look, the president is so committed on making sure that Zambians get the best for their resources. What did he do? He cancelled all the timber licenses for foreigners and said, this is a preserve of the Zambian people. You are telling me that there's a businesses which Zambians can do, but foreigners are doing it. Yes. In the recent past, we had foreigners, all of them with the jigsaws, cutting, mechanized machines, cutting our trees and externalizing them as logs. That is what we can do. If we don't have those mechanized machines to cut the trees, let's go with axles, cut them down ourselves and sell them. They have our trees. But when we do that, right now we've heard of people trying to get licenses on behalf of foreigners. Zambia, when will you be patriotic? When the government is trying to give you resources, wealth, you're going behind your own backs and bring foreigners to do that for you. We can set up good policies as a government, but if the same good policies we set up as a government, the people we are setting up for are not interested in advancing them, then well, there's a problem. So CEEC, number one, what we are doing to support the ministry, because CEEC is now under the Ministry of SMEs. Yes. But legislation, controls and guidance is coming from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. We're trying to work, by the way, we are like Siamese twins. So we are supporting our friends with capacity building, information, knowledge and education on how this should be accessed by our people. The way it is being framed right now, it is such that it is almost impossible for you to get access to that CEC empowerment. That's why you heard most people saying, no, CEC is only given to cadres. We don't want cadres to be the only ones reaching. Even myself, I'm a cadre. So I shouldn't be the only one to have access to it. Every Zambian should have access to it. Why? By making an application process simple, very elaborate. What is more important is not how good and eloquent the English is on what you have applied, but just the message itself, the understanding, what do they want to achieve? That is what we want to do. And through my Zambia Development Agency, PACRA itself, and other agencies we have, we are trying to come up, including we are engaging the private sector. Zambia Institute for Trade and Zambezi Trade Center. We are bringing all of these, including the banks. We want to bring them on board and set up workshops for the would-be recipients of the CEC fund to teach them, equip them with skills and resources of how they will access the money, use it, sustain it, and grow their businesses. We want businesses to be given first time and succeed first time. We don't have the risk. We can't have the luxury of the risk to get them access to business and lose it just there and then. So CEC is a powerful tool under the Ministry of Small Medium Enterprises that will support the Zambians and empower them to have their own businesses. So as we bring this tool at the disposal of the Zambian people, take ownership, it is yours. So be patriotic, love this country, support the ideas that we are bringing to the Zambian people. The budget that was presented, it is Zambian-driven budget. It is private stakeholder-driven budget. It is not a UPND budget. So even our brothers, look, let's go to Parliament today. All this week, our brothers even in the PF, they are supporting it because it's a good budget. It is meant to save everyone. In the past, we could see that 1.6 million kwacha. In some other constituencies, it was not even going. Depending on the party where you belong to. But right now what we are doing, I can assure, and the president has promised everyone, the Minister of Finance has promised everyone, the Minister of Local Government who will be disbursing the CDF has promised everyone, the 25.6 million that you see, the day the people of Chingola constituency are getting it. All constituencies. In Impika, they will get it. In Western Province, they will get it. In Southern Province, they will get it. everybody gets access to 25.7 million. Why? Because it is for the Zambian people. It is not for a certain political party. And empowerment is the preserve of all the Zambian people working together with the private sector. That's what we are doing.
Well, we are hosting Chipoka Mulenga, the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, and we are discussing trade matters pertaining to the New Dawn government. A number of issues have come out of our discussion, but in case you also have issues that you feel the minister has to respond to, it's available to just respond to that. And in our preamble, or your preamble, Honorable Minister, you mentioned the aspect of taking politically motivated approaches in terms of facilitating development or industries, which you said the New Dawn government won't go that route. And we'll take you to a specific industry or which was or company which was at the center of this controversy, where it is opened during the elections, it closes immediately the elections are over. Mulungushi Textiles. Want to understand what is the New Dawn government doing about that to ensure that that industry saves the local people, creates jobs, as well as contributes to the treasury.
Before I even talk about Mulungushi Textiles, because I did a trip recently to Turkey. It's part of the reasons why I traveled. You must understand, in the recent past, the president has made a few trips. I heard one of the parliamentarians in the opposition saying he has done 5 trips already in 3 months. All the trips that you see that son of the land, HH, make, they are meant to improve the living standards of the Zambian people. Number one, in New York, he did not just go to the National Assembly, the United National Assembly. He went to meet more people that are going to support us. It is from that trip where we attracted over $1 billion. That is the reason why you're going to see teachers employed. 30,000 teachers, 11,000 health workers to be employed. It is because of the New York trip. If he just sat at home, we are not going to end that one. In his humility, he jumped even on a commercial plane. In the best interest of the Zambian people, let me go there and ask. It is from that trip where you see all those recruitments. We've seen successive governments. The trips they made, what did they have to show for? Apart from pictures of saying, I'm in Wall Street walking. We are shopping Gucci and everything in fancy shops. But what we are doing is for the Zambian people. He went, the recent trip, he took to Glasgow. There was a green economy summit that was taking place. From there, over £1 billion has been, we've earned as a country. Through even the Minister of Green Economy, Honorable Nzovu. And it's because of the deliberations, the eloquency, the understanding of issues and matters that are affecting the economy and the world at large, from the President and his team, the Minister, Mr. Nzovu, we earned ourselves huge amounts of money, which we are supposed to get and support this country. Other than that, we've been given the chairmanship for about 2 years or so to lead that sector. To be given that chairmanship, it's not because it's a round table then it falls on you. It's because of your ability to deliberate on issues and execute them successfully. He took a trip to the DRC, to Congo. The trip that he took to Congo was to link Zambia and Congo as the biggest trading partners. And he did not go alone. I should have joined him that trip, but he sent me to Egypt with the Vice President. And he took even Zambian companies, SMEs, and even giant companies to go and be in Congo and find serious business linkages. Which president had ever taken Zambian businesses, SMEs, to take them directly and link them to their counterparts in a foreign nation? This is happening with this president. I flew with him to Durban not very long ago, must be 3 weeks ago. Then it was important. You must have seen the speech that he even delivered. And he was so compelled to fly to Durban. Why? The Zambian truckers, you've seen how they've been treated. When they're just in foreign land, particularly in my brothers in another country, where they're killed, shot and bent. The president said enough is enough. This must come to an end. Should have seen the statement. He issued it and told his colleagues, there is no way Zambia will go into any agreements which is not beneficial for Zambians, but beneficial to other countries. Any deal we go into must be good for Zambia and its people, as much as it is for other nationals. Gentlemen, brothers and sisters, what more do you want for a man? He's doing it purely for the best interest of the Zambian people, and that is my focus. Coming to Mulungush Textiles, it's been a traditional ceremony, which on an election, it opens and closes after they win. We want that to come to an end. I was in Turkey. The president told me and gave me very simple directives. When you go to Turkey, or you have gone to Lobby Boka, you're not going there as a tourist. You're going to go there as a lobbyist. Not just as a lobbyist, as an investment attraction center. And when you go there, we need to invest in textile. The time should come to an end. When I fly out of the country, I go to Turkey, I bought beautiful suits in Turkey. You have cotton. We are farming cotton. By the way, you must understand, Zambia is the 3rd largest producer of cotton in Southern Africa. But we can't even produce a single linen. It is all done outside the country. I want to challenge the Zambian people. Imagine all this regalia you have seen, green, red, in the country. It is bought from outside the country. Imagine if we had a ginnery here, processing that, and just somebody is doing that, how much money will be in the Zambian hands? It's what we want to do. So, Mulungush Textiles, as I'm talking to you, there are some investors that will come, and they are in talks, and we want to invest so much in the national service. In the recent past government, we saw what the national service were being subjected to, only to stopping and shooting people that are selling miri meals. Zambians, 2 bags there, we've sold them short. But we have been misusing the Zambian National Service. They can be a part of the production chain in this country, value addition chain. The Ministry of Defense, led by the Honorable Minister of Defense himself, they are working so hard to make sure the Zambian National Service, they run the facility. But parallel to that, more are coming to work with the Ministry of Defense again to set up from scratch a textile industry where Zambians will benefit. We need to start telling you, look, how do you import even uniforms for your servicemen? We should take pride in it. Your flag, your flying flag. You have to import your flag. Somebody has to tailor your flag. We want Zambians to be proud. When you stand as proud, stand and sing proud and free, you're standing next to your flag, which you have tailored yourself. That when it happens, I can assure you, Zambians will be proud to sing the national anthem. Right now, some people will be singing the national anthem, others will be walking. Because there is no attachment, there is no linkage. They've got no attachment. They've not blended and bonded with that flag. It is just a color which represents what they believe in, but they did not make it. So we want to be tailoring these things ourselves. These decent industrial parks, setups we're talking about, will create decent businesses, will create decent jobs for Zambian people. So we want the Zambian people to support us in this ambition and this quest. So this thing of a ceremony, which like you talked about, it will come to an end very soon. But we are asking Zambians to have faith and patience with us, because we are working in the background. This 100 days, we are putting all these things in place. Look, if an economy was damaged in the past 10 years, we can't just turn it around in 2 months. But in 2 months, we are putting policies in place that will translate into action that Zambian people will enjoy. So, if they're busy to free education, we said we'll give it to you, and we're giving it. You damaged it in 10 years, and you're challenging others to do it in a day. Are you reasonable? Are you realistic? No, you're not. So we are going to do this, but we'll do it realistically, methodically, and systematically. So it should be a system that should stand a test of time. We will not respond to calls and queries just to appease people. We want to do it in the best interest of even the unborn child, so that it will be a system that will stand the test of time.
Okay. Thank you so much. That is Honorable Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Mr. Chipoka Mlenga. We are having a fruitful discussion on trade focus under the new Dawn government, and he's highlighted a lot of important things. But before we continue with our discussion, we are going to take a short breather.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market. Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Yes. Okay, great.
Okay, thank you so much for still tuning to Camnet TV. So before we continue with the discussion, in studio today we are joined by Honorable Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Mr. Chipoka Mlinga, and we are discussing the state of trade in Zambia. But before we continue with our discussion, we are going to take a look at the money market by close of Thursday, 2nd December 2021. The $1 was buying at 17 kwacha 65 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha. One British pound was buying at 23 kwacha 46 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 92 ngwe. 1 euro was buying at 19 kwacha 98 ngwe and was selling at 20 kwacha 37 ngwe. And 1 South African rand was buying at 1 kwacha 10 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 12 ngwe. And we go straight into zooming the headlines.
Well, we'll go straight into one of the stories, Prudence. You know, today is World Disability Days, and we know that even persons with disabilities have to participate in business. And so we'll go straight into one of the stories that pertains to persons with disabilities, so that we can highlight their concerns, find out from the minister regarding what they are doing to ensure an inclusive approach towards empowerment.
Each and every one of you of our vision and mission, on which all our work hinges. We are all called to serve and to offer service among others, especially children with disability. Therefore, as National Council, we remain committed to playing a critical role and will ensure we maintain our fundamental principles and core value in promoting and advancing equal access to services for persons with disability in general and children with disability in particular. Sisters, ladies and gentlemen, let me state that to be forewarned is to be forearmed. The COVID-19 pandemic is still with us. This is why today I was telling you, put your masks on. When you eat or drink, you take it off. Otherwise, you must keep it on. Because we don't know when all of you are not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. Particularly if you are involved with other people. Because otherwise, you are a danger. You are a danger to the people that you are looking after. I don't want to hear from anybody that I don't believe in vaccination. I know somebody's already told me that. I don't believe in vaccination. If we are all alive here, it's because when we are babies, we are vaccinated against polio, against this, against the other. So we have to take this vaccination. If we don't believe on it, the others do. So we have to make sure that we keep them safe. Particularly any of you that are working in this charity business.
there you have it. That was a clip from Cheshire Homes. They were actually lamenting about limited access to empowerment opportunities for persons with disabilities. There are persons with disabilities that are blind but are able to do certain things, those that are physically challenged, the deaf. So there are cross-cutting issues rather on terms of persons with disabilities, and they need different approaches in order to be actually safeguarded. So now we are going to find out from the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 07:30 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 09:30 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Business Dedicated, and we are hosting the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Chipo Kamulenga, where we are discussing pertinent issues pertaining to the trade sector, and we have unveiled a number of issues and pertaining to government's commitment in order to safeguard the plight of Zambians in the industry. And talking about safeguarding the plight of citizens, persons with disabilities are among those citizens who the ministry is asked to take care of, and we are going to find out how, as persons with disabilities mark their day-to-day, how is the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry going to respond towards ensuring that they also participate in national matters in as far as business is concerned. Honorable Minister, what are you doing for the for persons with disabilities to ensure that they do not feel sidelined because they have been complaining that successive governments have not done enough to safeguard their plight?
I'll be very honest with you. Today when I was driving, coming to this TV station, I was listening to a lady lamenting on how the disabled people have been sidelined through years and years, where they are even making a request to say, wow, we have got men and women debating our issues in Parliament. There should be somebody doing the interpretations and every time. And then I remembered something with emotions. I have a brother myself, an elder brother, who is deaf and dumb. He can speak, he can't hear. Every government that is in place must have a concern of its citizens, regardless of their physical status, financial status, ethnicity, or everything. And I think these are issues that we should take seriously. Now, under the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, like I said, my ministry is holistic. It's every sector, every industry, every business channels that we're doing. So we have been concerned about that. But now we've got a Ministry of Community Development.
Yes.
Yes, and these are issues that I will discuss with the Honorable Member. She's a wonderful woman. You need to meet the Honorable Member for Community Development. As she is amazing. So I think these are issues that I have to discuss with her. But there's a policy that we have. If you read in our manifesto as the UPND, where equitable sharing of resources and wealth should be done. So there are many stakeholders that we want to bring on board. The Ministry of Community Development is working on this one, where they have to encompass everyone in the sharing of resources, empowering of everyone, skill development for the disabled. Look, as long as they are alive, they may be disabled, but they are useful to the income generation, to the economic development of this country. So in their strengths, we want to build. My brother is deaf, but he's a carpenter. One thing I'll tell you something my father did. My mother was so focused in building responsible children that could go to the farm, work. If I'm not, it's now that you're calling them farm. We used to call it farm, walima, sweep at the house. But my father was so focused as well to say, you need to do well in life for yourself, because the time will come when you stand on your own. Including my deaf brother has reached college. He's a carpenter today and he's feeding himself. He doesn't depend on me or anyone else. So my father saw strength in him. He's got hands, he's got legs, he can walk. Including those that are got wheelchairs. Others can knit. There's a lady in Karulushi. She moves on a wheelchair. She knitted a very beautiful Zambian jersey for me. So we want to identify strength for each disabled person. What can you do? And encourage even these chain stores to employ them. We've seen it in one of the chain stores where deaf people are very good at tills. These are people that you will never disturb. Noise pollution will never affect them. When you give them a responsibility, they perform even more ably than the well-able people. So we've got a package for them, and I'm sure the minister herself will come and unveil it to you in a very more elaborate way that will amaze you. Because if I start jumping from one ministry to the other, I'll end up being chief government spokesperson, and that's not my job.
Interesting.
Yeah, but what I can tell you is, this is a responsible government that is focusing on doing the right thing.
Well, thank you very much. There you have it. The minister just given his insight on the issue of persons with disabilities. Well, this year's theme for International Day for Persons with Disability is leadership and participation of persons with disabilities towards an inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. Well, like the minister indicated, the government is taking an inclusive approach to development, and we just hope it will come to fruition, because implementation at the end of the day is what is important. And now proceeding with our discussion on trade, we also want to get your thoughts, Honorable Minister, on the aspect of how are you positioning Zambia to ensure that it benefits from the Continental Africa Free Trade Area treaty, which various countries have signed to, and progress has been made, and we want to know how are you making sure that Zambia is well positioned to benefit from this treaty.
Number one, I'll tell you something. My country has missed out on many opportunities. We were so quick to enter into, by the way, you must understand, my ministry, Commerce, Trade and Industry, is mother ministry in this country to all these bilateral and multilateral agreements we've signed. COMESA, SADC, the same Africa Free Trade Area, and many others. But when I went into office, even before I went into office, there are a lot of desirables that I saw within these treaties, where our country was used just as a conduit for the success of other countries at our own expense, where our roads are destroyed and damaged by heavy laden trucks, which, if originating from countries which cannot allow our trucks to go in there and do business with them. So these are agreements that we're trying to look at and get them on board again, to say we need to discuss this. The president has made it very clear. He has set a tone. Any agreement that Zambia has been into, which is not good for us, but good for our brothers, is not good for anyone. If it is good for our neighbors, it should be good for us. And listen, to the extent that It is good even to the unborn child in my constituency, Chingola constituency. It shouldn't be only good for the politicians. It should be good for the electorates. So even this, the newly signed agreement, it's a beautiful document, but we are reviewing it and saying, what can we do out of it? What good can we make out of it? What is good for them and us? Because if it is good for big economies, it should be good for small economies as well. So we will give a comprehensive statement. I will issue a comprehensive statement as minister on where we stand on this and how we progress on it. Yes, it was signed by my predecessor, and we say whatever they signed, we've inherited it, but we should make good of it. That's why the Zambian people have given us the mandate to take over, because they believe we can make good of what was not good. So I will issue a comprehensive statement on how we have positioned Zambia to stand as regards to these multilateral agreements. But what I can tell you is it's a good step in the right direction, because it is bringing Africa to trade within itself. So the Continental Africa Free Trade is a brilliant initiative. One thing Africa must realize is over hundreds of billions of dollars are externalized from Africa to the rest of the world. Europe, East, and you mentioned it. But within Africa ourselves, we trade less than 10 billion. But over $200 billion is going out. But imagine if the Continental Africa Free Trade Area became a reality, and we shared probably $300 billion within ourselves, and Zambia being a part and parcel of that $300 billion, we can never be a poor continent. We'll be a very rich continent. And that's our focus. Listen to how visionary and dedicated this president we have today, Hakainde Hichilema. What did he say? Just in his inaugural speech, especially you, the media, pay attention to these things and inform the nation that this is the vision of this leader. He said, we want to trade with our neighbors and within the region, number one. Who are our neighbors? There are 8 neighbors. For me now, because of trade, I even include the Burundi country as part of our neighbors, 9. If we can trade effectively with these neighbors, we will not be as poor as we are today. We've got serious raw materials. The president has set the tone. That's why I'm talking about value addition kind of investment. Copper, all you do is you mine your copper. Me, I'm mine 15 years. If I was to take you underground and see where that copper comes from, and you see it cheaply leaving the country, you'll be very upset. You export it as concentrate. When it is further processed, it's only cathodes or anodes. But enough is enough. My ministry is working so hard in setting up a plant in Zambia that will process copper further into wires, into cables, into plates, and make generators for Zesco and other companies right here in Zambia. This is the investment we are working on, and it will happen. This I can assure you, it will happen. We are working on it.
Within the 5-year tenure?
Within the 5-year tenure. That's our mandate. And beyond. We've got logs, you cut them like that, and you export them. Honestly. And you go and buy nice furniture. You import it 10 times more the price. That's why the president has said this CDF, all desks, no desk should be imported. When I go back to my constituency in Chingola constituency, I sat with the town clerk, I sat with the mayor, I sat with all my councillors, and we shared this. Guys, whoever wants to buy a door for their office, it will be not a foreign door. It will be a door at Chiwempala, Chawama, or any other place. Our own doors. We have to believe in ourselves. Even these foreign nationals you see today, they are building roads and supplying us nice polished furniture. They didn't just wake up with the expertise and skill they have. They were bad as well at one time, but they believed in themselves. Today they do it badly, they still say do it again. It's what we need to do. Let's believe in ourselves. All we have to do, like me as member of parliament for my constituency, I have to equip my men, buy the machinery and equipment that they can replenish that equipment, or whatever desks or anything, and supply. Once the government starts spending, actually it's not expense, investing money in their people, it will be a different story. Imagine 25 million spent in Chingola constituency, another 25 million in Inchanga constituency. Collectively, we've got 50 million in my district. spent within the district, everybody will have access to money. Every woman will be busy knitting, selling, trading. That's what we want. The people have been empowered. You've been fighting for decentralization of resources. He has given it, but through decentralization, through empowering you, the same people, we have been calling someone names. What more do you want? Even then, the past governments, they could have been giving you money because the people wanted it, but it was withheld. It was just not made available. But he has said, I will not keep money in Lusaka. It should go to the people that need it. But as we are given this money, like I said earlier, we should be responsible citizens, patriotic citizens, and prudently use this money to the benefit and gain of the Zambian people. So now a time, my brother, is long gone where we kept on exporting everything in their raw form. As I'm telling you, this year, next month, and in a few times, the industry plant that we have set up in Munilonga, you've seen mangoes, yes. You've seen pineapples, they all go to West. We are setting up a plant under my ministry, and we are going to hand it over to the IDC, where drinks, juices will be processed and packaged here in Zambia. All these drinks, there will be so much that Zambian market cannot use alone. We will even use Zambia as an export base. And we'll take advantage of the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. Export to many regions in Africa without any trade barriers in place. So we will take advantage of it in the best way that we possibly can. But don't forget, should there be any clause that does not give us a gain in any way, we'll have to get back to the table and negotiate.
As we wrap up our discussion, Honorable Minister, we want to also get you how you are going to address the aspects. Since the President has said that there will be no export bans, and this is to ensure that Zambia becomes an export nation. How are you going to ensure a constant supply of commodities in the local market to ensure that while we don't focus on the lucrative market, which is for export, we also make sure that the local industry or the local population is supplied adequately. So we want to get how we are going to make a balance, strike a balance on that aspect.
Number one, I have to lobby and plead with you, the Zambian people. This is a brilliant idea. Believe in what we are doing. These cooperatives that we are asking you to set up, they are not cooperatives for you to get the money and chew it right there and then. Invest it prudently so that you recapitalize your business from the proceeds, the profits that you're going to make. So if we're talking about supplying maize, meal, and we'll be processing cornflakes here in Zambia under this new Dawn government, we're setting up those industries. If we are going to start doing that, I need you, Mr. Soko, I need you, Prudence, to have a small piece of land where you should start farming. Every Zambian should till the land. Every Zambian should look forward to a business that they can do, because there is now a prudent leadership that will give you access to those resources. You hear me? Before we even talk about asking for further enhancement in production, Zambians must be working. My brothers and sisters, a time for handouts is gone.
It's long gone.
It is a time for people to work. For this economy to develop, we should stop giving handouts, but we should be paying people for the work they have done. It's not about how beautiful you are, my sister, how handsome you are, my brother. Get to the land, till the land. Today, people, look at the president we have. He was accused of a lot of things. Why? Because the money he was given when he did the job with the Zambian government, he invested it into the land, while others invested it into the counter. You invest into the land, 1 grain of maize, once you plant it, it will give 2 cobs. Cobs will have several grains. You sell, there's profit for you. You buy 3 cattle, 1 bull. By the end of the year, you have 6. They generate. And this is what we're asking everyone. Let's get busy. Let's get working. Try this government. Approach us. Go to the Minister of SMEs and Enterprises. Ask for that CEC empowerment. Go to your MPs in your areas, regardless of which, either it's PF, UPND, whichever party. Go to the MPs. They will have the CDF. Set up cooperatives. Be empowered. Then production in this country will skyrocket. Because others feel ashamed even to go farming. No, I'm so beautiful, I can't go farming. No, I'm young, I can't go farming. You have to work, that's what the revenue is. But now, other than that, we are investing into science and technology. The president has set up, the cabinet of Zambia, the government, has made a new ministry called Science and Technology. We ignore science and technology as a nation at our own peril. But therefore we've set it up. How do we improve? It's not only about technology enhancement in the digital world, e-commerce and the rest of this world. Even development in the agro sector. How do we improve production? You cannot ban the sale of maize or any other products because you're saying Zambia will have poverty. No, all you have to do is enhance production.
Okay.
If you don't export, there will be no forex. We need more forex in this country, and forex will only come from exports. So we have to invest in technology that will enhance production. And to invest in technology now, this is where now we are engaging. Like I told you, FDI should be a supplement. Ourselves, this is where we are. Now let us learn from our friends from across the world, overseas. How has South Africa done this? How has Egypt done this? How has Europe done this, including our brothers in China? How have they enhanced their production? Let us learn together. We need a small piece of land, but to produce more so that we sustain. And these are the ideas we're putting in place so that we can produce more. And other than that, we are trying to give farmers farming support implements in time. This time around, I can assure you, all farmers have been given. Proudly I tell you, in 3 months of being in government, not 10 years, we managed to distribute all farming inputs across the country. They have, if once you empower the farmers with farming support implement, by the way, it's not only D-compound they have D-compound, they have urea. Once you empower them, they have the farming support implements in time. They will plan what kind of piece of land they will cultivate, how much they will plant, the yield will be good. That is critical. You do not ignore that one. Honorable Mutoro Piri has done his homework and has done his job. He will go to home sleeping. But we are not going to end there. Next year, the ministry is focusing on finding these extension farming support officers who should be visiting farmers individually in their respective farming blocks on how best they can do the farming. So we want, when farmers are farming, they produce successfully, well, without failure. That's why we need the educated young men and women, old men and women, to support our people. This is our focus.
Okay, Honorable Minister, maybe just a quick one before we release you. We know you are rushing to Parliament. Today Parliament is in the morning.
Yes.
When you go at Kasumbalesa border, we see a lot of potential in terms of how much revenue our government can make. But what we've seen is there is this open market to an extent where people can just come in anyhow and leave, come buy goods and leave. Sometimes they even end up using those routes in order to avoid paying. Yes, in order to avoid paying revenue. Maybe just to sum up, what is your plan for Kasumbalesa border post?
I'll tell you something, my sister Prudence. That's a very prudent question, by the way, that you've asked. Yes, Kasumbalesa is a critical border entry and exit for Zambia and for the large part of Africa. That's the busiest border post we have. All the borders that you have end up feeding into Kasumbalesa. So we need to make good of it, and we need to make the most out of it. The president had made it very clear that we should see our brothers and sisters in Kasumbalesa as our trading partners, as business or the buyers for our commodities. And we just want to do that and enhance that business activity. The first trip I did out of my office was to go to Kasumbalesa, where I met my Congolese counterpart at the border on how best we can do things in the best interest for our people and their people. Or should I say, how we can do things in the best interest of our peoples. Like you've rightly said, there is a lot of desirables that we need to do at Kasumbalesa, and it will be done. We need to bring sanity there. Zambian trucks that we have, Zambian businessmen, producers, manufacturers, farmers, they go and station them there and sell products there. But in the past, we've allowed even foreign trucks, which are meant to export products and pass, to station there and trade there. How do we allow foreign trucks to compete with local trucks for the same market, at the same market value? That is our border. It is the country that should make the most out of it. We're trying to change how things are done. I'm yet to inform the president about it and cabinet, so I cannot just bring it out here today, on how best we want to make the most out of it. But he's given me an instruction: bring sanity there. Let there sanity. Because look, sanity is not only having orderly way of doing business, even the environment itself. Any drop of rain, people live in filth. We want to change that. We need to respect our people. Both the Congolese and the Zambians, those are our people. Congolese are our brothers and sisters. So the trading area must be good. So we want to make that environment very conducive. But I can assure you, in a few months' time, it will be a place where it will be a marvel. And the revenue generation from Kasumba Alesa alone, I look forward to making sure that it is so much enhanced that even when my colleagues from the Ministry of Finance, ZRA, they make a pronouncement of how much they've collected, it should be increased.
Interesting. There you have it. Well, Honorable, you asked your concluding remarks before we let you go.
Okay, thank you. I just want to appreciate Camnet for inviting us to come and explain our vision and our plans for this country. But ultimately, I just want to encourage the country. Believe in us. What we are talking about or what we want to do for the people is not good for UPND alone. Neither is it for PF or any other political party, but for the Zambian people. Support the ideas, the values of the president and his cabinet. The country, you must understand and appreciate that it was run for many years and the economy was ravaged. And we can't turn around everything in 100 days. But in 100 days, we have put in policies like I've been explaining that will help us going forward to change things. We want to work on the economy, stabilize the currency. I can assure you, a stable currency is attractive for investment, not a turbulent one. And we're trying to put in fundamentals now that will stabilize the currency. We want to put in the education system, robust education systems, that our children and their children will have to live and testify to say, we had forefathers in the name of Chipoka Mlenga and his president that left a foundation that is sound. Because I can assure you, what this president is doing is good for everyone. He has always made it clear that education is an equalizer. He's proud of coming from the village in Bwengwa, where he was born. You know, that's how we want even any proud village child who has got access to education to be. Because they know that one day I can be like President Echech. I can be like Madam Mutana Lumango. So education is an equalizer. To you, our women flock, stand and be counted. Gender alone is not good enough to earn you what you want. President Echech never went to the street and just looked for any woman and said, oh, because it's a woman, I will use the Masarani maid. She was equal to the task. She is equal to the task. Where is she coming from? She's got an education as well. She's a teacher. Listen to her deliberations in Parliament. Sometimes I sit and I look at her, I said, I feel blessed because I've got good mentors in the president and the vice president. So Zambian people, whatever deliberations we are doing, it is good for the people. The people are calling us to fire every person that we believe was politically appointed. Everything should be done systematically. We'll end up even whipping everyone, even the innocent ones. The Bible is clear. Let the weeds grow along with the right fruits. In due time, we'll separate them. So even as we are doing things, have faith in this government that you believed in to take over leadership. Our interest is for you. The same brothers who are saying, give free education, they should start reminding us that we promise that we'll take them to court for the things they've stolen. Themselves should start reminding us that we will follow them for the things that they stole. They should remind us that they employed people on political grounds and we should get them out. They should remind us. But we are trying to be a very rational and visionary leadership that serves everyone. In the civil service and everywhere else, if there are cadres who are there, a time has come when they repented and started thinking forward and started doing things right for the country. But if there is no repentance, we have no choice but to bring in the right people who are focused to do it. But have faith. You have got a sound leadership, sound government that is serving the interests of the nation at large. Thank you and God bless Zambia.
Thank you so much. That was Honorable Minister Chipoka Mlenga, Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, and we were discussing the trade focus under the new Dawn government. We have discussed a lot of progressive things, and we have to release the minister because he has to go to Parliament. So thank you so much, Honourable Minister, and we wish you all the best. We wish you good luck. We are going to take a short breather, and we are going to, in the second segment, discuss disability. We know today is World Disability Day, and we would love to speak to someone from the Disability Rights Watch to just highlight some of the measures that they are putting in place to ensure that even persons with disability are included. So stay tuned.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 07:30 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 09:30 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluba with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluba are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned. We were hosting Honourable Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Chipoka Mlenga, and we were discussing the trade focus under the New Dawn government, and a lot of important progressive things have been discussed. And hosting the show with my colleague, Patrick Soko. Patrick Soko, over to you.
Well, we are talking the business segment of the Camnet TV, but we also have some interesting stories that happened over the week and just yesterday pertaining to zooming the headlines. So we'll try to zoom in some of the headlines just for your reference as to understand what is trending. And what is trending also on that aspect is the former ruling party, which is the PF, and we saw them having some of their intra-party wrangles. So we'll get into that clip so that we just get to understand what is happening around that. And then we'll be back shortly with Blessings Chakwila, who's going to give us a sports update. Stay tuned to Camnet TV, and we'll go straight into that clip.
Record what we are proceeding with a protest to ensure that we are not part of this illegality.
30th November 2021, members of the Opposition Patriotic Front walked out of Parliament after the Deputy National Speaker of the National Assembly, Attractor Tisangano, denied PF Kawambo constituency Member of Parliament Nixon Chilangwa to raise a point of order. And PF Kawambwa constituency member of parliament Nixon Chilangwa, who is also acting secretary general of the party, has accused the deputy speaker of being biased towards the opposition PF and says parliament is meant for debating important matters and not sidelining the opposition from raising points of orders.
Colleagues on the right, they stood on 4 or 5 points of orders yesterday, and they were granted those points of orders. I wanted to stand on a point of order yesterday, and I was denied that point of order. When I protested, I was chased out of that house by the second deputy speaker. That's unacceptable. You give the ruling party 5 points of orders, the opposition will deny us 1 single point of order. So my colleagues and my colleagues elected to support me, and we walked out of the house.
And Mr. Chilangwa has accused the advisors of President Hakainde Hichilema of being incompetent and says they are not fit to be called presidential aides and advisors.
Run a country in that fashion? You can't. If you have the brains, you have the experience. Colleagues, if you've been in the business for 10 years as an engineer, you mean you cannot get a contract, register a company through NCC, and go ahead and get a loan, go ahead and get a bond from insurance and get a contract? Then it becomes a crime to President Hakainde Hichilema? No ways. I corner man. I corner man.
And the party has suspended PF Lusaka Province Committee led by Kennedy Kamba for growth in discipline.
All issues pertaining to Lusaka Province will be handled by the Secretariat. The Kennedy Kamba Committee, which has been in the forefront of insulting the President, of insulting the members of the Central Committee, which has been epitome of indiscipline, is today dissolved. They have no single leg to stand on. They lost elections in Lusaka. Today they want to determine the destination of this party, the future of this party. No.
Mr. Chilangwa has since clarified that the party will hold its convention to elect a new president before June 2022, once all logistics are put in place, and note that the convention will be held in June of 2022. It has since appealed to all party members to make contributions towards the convention. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News. Okay, thank you so much for still staying tuned. So we are joined by Blessings Chakwila, who's our sports journalist. Blessings, what do we have on the sports segment this morning?
Thank you, Prudence. Today's update is basically on yesterday's match. We saw the Zambia women's under-17 beat Botswana by 3-1, and of which in the first half, Botswana did have a lead goal. And then Zambia scored through Lucy Kajika and Jessie Zulu. That's yesterday's. That's the local update for yesterday. And then international.
What is that tournament?
That tournament is Region 5 Youth Championship.
Okay. Under what? Is it COSAFA?
It's COSAFA, yes. It's under COSAFA. So basically, international, we have the Premier League. We had some games. On the 1st of December, Liverpool did beat Everton by 4-1. We saw Man City beat Aston Villa by 2-1. And then yesterday we also had some games under the Premier League where we saw Tottenham beat Brentford by 2-0, and Manchester United beat Arsenal by 3-2. And then looking going forward, or some of the games that we should expect tomorrow, Chelsea is going to face West Ham, and Newcastle will face Burnley. Liverpool, on the other hand, is going to face Wolves, and Man City will face Watford.
Well, thank you very much, Blessings, for that update. Well, we just take a short break. We'll be back shortly.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned. So as we said earlier, today is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, and to help us discuss that, I am joined in studio by Disability Rights Watch National Coordinator, Mr. Bruce Joma. Mr. Joma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and good morning to all those who are viewing this program.
Okay, thank you so much. So we do understand that this year's theme for the Day of Disability is leadership and participation of persons with disabilities towards an inclusive, accessible, and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. So the UN has adopted this theme to highlight the issues faced by disabled persons during the global pandemic. So Mr. What do you say your last name correctly as?
Joma.
Joma. That's, you know. Yes, so Mr. Yes, so for me, I'm going to say Joma.
It's okay. It's acceptable.
Yes. Yeah, it's executive, I understand. So, yeah. So, Mr. Joma, just try, just
I think tell us, the Joma arrangement is
better, please.
Confusing.
So yeah, what are some of the challenges that we've seen our brothers and sisters who are physically able faced during this COVID pandemic? You can just give us the highlights of some of that.
Right. So thanks a lot again for having us on the program today. This is a very important day for people with disabilities across the world, not just here in Zambia. And the COVID-19 has ravaged persons with disabilities in a very interesting and very important way, and in many ways actually. You see that when COVID-19 came, there was disruption to supply of services, essential services such as education had to be shut down. And many children's disabilities, as you know, in Zambia, our services are quite low. They depend on these institutions where they go to boarding schools far from their homes. And when the abrupt closure of schools happened, a lot of difficulties were encountered in terms of parents mobilizing resources to relocate their children from schools. But also when the new era came where we have to do e-learning, a lot of children's disabilities were unable to access those platforms because they are not accessible to the visually impaired. Even those who are hearing impaired had difficulties following through those lessons. And what we have seen now is a significant loss of learning time for children with disabilities. Many of them are doing repeat grades, and many of them may not proceed to their next level. Even the exams that have started, for many they're not prepared, and many parents have not even released their children back into school. So we have got significant challenges there. But also you see that adhering to the COVID-19 regulations is difficult. In most cases, impractical for persons with disabilities. If somebody is blind, for instance, and they require an assistant to walk with them into town, they have to hold them by the hand. So physical contact is something you will not avoid. And then even for children, they depend on their parents and caregivers for feeding, for dressing, and for many other things. So you find that there's a lot of contact happening. And there are also many other challenges in terms of sanitizing, wearing of masks. By the way, the masks themselves have been a problem, especially for the hearing impaired. You know, people who are deaf will also get information through lip reading. They can lip your reads, your lips as you are speaking, and they are able to tell what you're talking about. So even in terms of the classroom setup, you find that when a teacher is teaching in an inclusive class where there are learners with hearing impairments and non-disabled ones, when the teacher is talking, the learner is able to read the lips of the teacher. But if the teacher is masked up, then they can't benefit from that information flow. So it has been very difficult. But even the response that government has given to COVID-19 hasn't been very inclusive. You know, we have seen that there has been a disruption in terms of access to services for people with disabilities. And we haven't had adequate protocols to guide service providers on what they should be doing to attend to the needs of people with disabilities. Even in the last year's the cash transfer, the emergency one for COVID-19, a lot of people with disabilities who genuinely deserve to be on that program didn't benefit because the criteria used there was not very friendly for people with disabilities. So we need to really, as we get into the fourth wave and beyond, begin to think of how we can adequately attend to the gaps that have resulted in the lives of people with disabilities as a result of COVID-19. And the theme that you were talking about actually highlights some of those issues: accessibility to services, issues of inclusive services, you know, and we have to think about issues of leadership and participation. Because there's a saying that there's nothing for us without us. So government structures must begin to respond by creating opportunities for people with disabilities to represent themselves so that their voices can be heard when decisions are being made about things that affect everyone else.
Have we seen a situation where you are engaged by government over some of the plans that government has been putting in place? Because they say in order for you to understand the problem that one has, you have to engage them. So have we seen a situation where government is engaging you and coming up with all these policies in this COVID-19 era?
Yes, engagement platforms have been created. Government did develop COVID mainstreaming guidelines, and the organizations of persons with disabilities were invited to that process, and they participated and gave full input. Currently, we are revising the national policy on disability, and persons with disabilities, again, are one of those that are represented in the consultation process, and they are in the technical committee as well that is drafting the new policy on disability. Our policy and legal framework, I must say, is quite good as a country. You even saw the other time when the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development was emphasizing the need to have persons with disabilities in the local ward development committees. That is something that is in the Local Government Act. So you see that in terms of our laws, there is an effort to include people with disabilities, but the level of implementation leaves much to be desired, because there's a lot of negative attitudes out there that need to be overcome. So even if you've got progressive provisions, for people who are responsible to implement those provisions, they need to have the right attitude, and they must begin to take deliberate effort to engage not only the agency of persons with disabilities, but also engage individual persons with disabilities and their organizations, so that they can be heard. And like Kyle mentioned also, these barriers differ depending on the impairment category. That's why you find that there's a federation for the blind, there's a one for the deaf, there's one for people with multiple disabilities, deaf-blind people. There's people with physical disabilities. Everyone has got their own advocacy challenges because they face different kind of challenges, but it's important for government to embrace all these categories and hear them out in terms of how they want their needs attended to. And I think this is why this theme is very important.
And while we are talking about the theme, there's the component of leadership. And I want to find out how do you assess the aspect of leadership. Has the New Dawn government done enough to ensure that persons with disabilities participate in governance, even the appointments that we've seen? The cabinet is now full. Positions for permanent secretaries and other departments, but are we seeing persons with disabilities being accommodated before these appointments are completely done?
Sadly, we have noted with a lot of concern that the New Dawn administration campaigned on the premise of an inclusive government. And people with disabilities came up in large numbers to vote for change on 12 August. And the expectations in terms of being included in the governance structures of the country are very high. And what we have seen so far from the composition and character of the presidential appointments and other administrative changes is that people with disabilities haven't been included. And this is a very huge drawback, because it is not only backtracking on campaign promises, but it is also a violation of the Constitution, because the Constitution is very clear in terms of things like Parliament. Those 8 seats are meant to equalize, representation, so that disadvantaged groups like women, youths, people with disabilities must be able to have a person appointed specifically to attend to their interests on the floor of the House. And we have seen that only one woman, for instance, has benefited from those 8, and we have not seen youths and people with disabilities. Instead, we have just seen political patronage characterizing those appointments. And we feel as a movement that the president has adequate time going into the future to revisit some of his appointments and put in place people with disabilities the opportunity to also represent themselves, because policies are made at a very high level. And if we have got somebody who is at the level of presidential advisor or cabinet and parliament, it will help a lot to begin to have that level of participation in leadership. It's not even a question of competence or qualifications, because as a country we've trained so many people with disabilities who have gone as far as university, and we know that they exist and they can be reached out to be able to go into the house and speak specifically to the issue of persons with disabilities. I mean, if we're talking about statistics, you see that we are literally talking about 10%, which is almost 1.5 or so million Zambians who have one form of disability or another. So that's a significant population, which you can't just leave out from the cake in terms of leadership positions. So we feel that the new Dawn administration has a huge responsibility to fulfill, which they have not yet done. And we are still optimistic that with the advocacy we are doing and the engagement going on, they should be able to create opportunities for people with disabilities to participate in the leadership of the country and to get those decision-making positions where they can contribute as well.
To mark the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, what are some of the activities that have been lined up to commemorate it?
So there has been activities going on this whole week. We have at the National Symposium taking place on the Copper Belt at the National Vocational Rehabilitation Center, which was graced by the Honorable Minister of Community Development and Social Services. That's a portfolio function for disability in Cabinet. And we have also had that platform taking place as a way of not only celebrating this day, but also speaking to all the other ministries in terms of to include people with disabilities in their programs, and also coming up with recommendations into the future. In Lusaka today we have commemorations in Kafue, where we have different organizations of disability showcasing their talents and also having conversations with the local government structures in terms of the inclusion of persons with disabilities. And there are satellite activities happening in all the provinces coordinated by the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities. And it's a very important thing that these activities are going on. And we know also that there are individuals with disabilities who have also decided to step up and advocate and make their voices heard, by way of having a peaceful protest and coming up to just speak about the concerns they have in terms of their representation. So it's important. Zambia has got a very open democratic space, and I think this is one of the things that the New Dawn government has delivered very quickly, creating an environment where citizens can express themselves and be able to participate in the governance of the country by way of having their voices heard without fear that anyone would stop them, whether it's law enforcement or just pure partisan cadres. I think that culture is now slowly getting behind us, and we think we must sustain it into the future.
Then I want to get we are commemorating this day in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we see the COVID-19 has come with its own challenges, like you explained in your preamble. But I want to bring you to one aspect, which is the issue of statistics regarding as we undertake various activities on the COVID-19 pandemic. Are we doing enough as a country to see how many people have been affected who are persons who are living with disabilities in terms of getting infected with the COVID-19 pandemic? Our accessibility to the vaccines, how is it going? So that we see, because others may need special attention to access the vaccine. So are we doing enough in that scope?
Thanks. That's a very important question, because persons with disabilities face unique vulnerabilities to COVID-19. A lot of persons with disabilities have got underlying conditions that also predispose them to COVID infection. And it's important that our national response takes into account those vulnerabilities. And I must say that our national health information management system doesn't have specific disaggregated data with regards to access to services for persons with disabilities. It's something we've been advocating from the beginning, that the Ministry of Health and its facilities must begin to deliberately record disability and impairment categories when they're accessing services, including COVID vaccines, as well as COVID hospitalization or any other intervention, so that we are able to also identify among the various categories, are there any one group that may be more impacted than another, so that the interventions can respond accordingly. So government needs to up its game on that one. And secondly, persons with disabilities have also become victims of misinformation and fake news around the vaccine. And in the work we are doing in the communities, we are active. I was in Chadiza and in Chipata and in Western Province most of last month. And what we saw is that there is a lot of misinformation on the vaccine. And you see, the way they administer the vaccine, you need to have about 10 valves open. So you can't vaccinate 2 people. You must have at least 10 people available to be vaccinated. So we find that a lot of people don't want to be vaccinated because they are misinformed. And people with disabilities do not have access to accessible information on the vaccine. We need to produce things like brochures in Braille for the blind so they can read for themselves and understand where the vaccine is coming from, the types of vaccines available, their benefits, their side effects. All that must be clearly explained to people with disabilities. We should do a lot more even in sign language for the deaf, for them to understand information on the vaccine. Now, if the general public has got all these myths, it becomes even more worse for people with disabilities because they only have very limited access to information. They depend on their small circle of friends and their families. So where there's misinformation, the uptake of the vaccine is going to be very low. And what we have seen so far is that many people with disabilities are shying away from being vaccinated for COVID-19 because they are basically unaware of the correct information on the benefits of the vaccine. There's a lot of misinformation, and we know the myths around it that have been peddled by many people. And so it is something that is of huge concern even to us. So we need to ensure that going into the future, we do a lot more sensitization targeted at people with disabilities themselves and their families.
Okay, that's good. We see a lot of persons with disabilities complaining that most of the time they are left out when it comes to empowerment. And most of the time, government will say, in order for you to get empowered, it's very difficult to empower maybe a single person who doesn't have a business and stuff. Ensure that you form cooperatives. Do we have persons with disabilities participation in the formation of cooperatives? Or have you as an institution planning on pairing persons with disabilities for them to have cooperatives so that they can be receiving funding?
So the conversation about economic empowerment for people with disabilities has been escalated in the new Dawn administration. We have got a national trust fund for persons with disabilities, which is government run, meant to give loans and small empowerment programs to people with disabilities. Our advocacy has been that with the creation of the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, we need to move the trust fund from social welfare and move it to that new ministry, where it can receive technical support and possibly even an increase in funding so that people with disabilities can be included in the financial sector as well as in the business sector more effectively. And also the cooperatives movement is very important, and our advocacy has been for inclusive cooperatives, that where there are cooperatives existing for women, let us also have women with disabilities joining those cooperatives. So we don't just have groups of people with disabilities only working on their own. They must be able to work with others who are non-disabled. That way they can receive the support they need for business development and other things they need to do. Because if you are working on your own, you are going to amplify your own impairments, which might make it hard for you to be effective in the business community and productive work. So it is important for those groups to be formed, but also for them to be inclusive, so that they can be a model that allows non-disabled persons to interact with disabled persons in the productive sector of agriculture, including trade and business.
Mr. Choma, your concluding remarks.
Well, just to thank government for creating a legal and policy environment that is supportive, but also to encourage every Zambian out there to use this day to reflect on the subject of persons with disabilities, to understand that disability is something that can happen to anyone at any point in their lives. There are road traffic accidents, there are medical conditions, there are so many disposing factors to disability nowadays. So as we are building our homes, building our roads, as we are putting up all these things we are doing for ourselves, let us include to think through the needs of people with disabilities so that we are able to have an inclusive society.
Thank you very much for making it to the program, and we are coming to the 9 minutes of our program, and we are happy that we have been able to discuss issues pertaining to persons with disabilities with Mr. Bruce Choma, who is the Disability Rights Watch National Coordinator. Well, they say if you are not, you don't have a disability, you are also a potential person with disability because of eventualities. You can get involved in an accident, hence you can become join this this arrangement, and hence it is the responsibility of everyone to ensure that we advance the rights of persons with disabilities, because at the end of the day we are advancing our own rights as citizens. I don't know what you think, Prudence.
No, that's true. Most of the time we do take advantage if we see a person who's physically able. We laugh at them and we do things like that. But what we don't realize is if you are not yet disabled, you are a potential person to maybe become that. We don't wish that that should happen, but we need to treat everyone equally. We need to respect each other in our society, even as we live differently. I think that's what I can say. And as I said earlier, today is Disability National Day. We are celebrating or commemorating our friends who are physically abled. And we had Mr.
Mama, before I let you.
Oh, no, sorry. I said we are celebrating. No, we are not celebrating. We are commemorating.
Physically able persons with disabilities, so they vary. So they may vary. They are not physically able. So the disability can be you are deaf, you are blind, you are also. But we just say cross-cutting disabilities because that encompasses everything. So like you, Mr. Choma, helped us to discuss this issue. I think this is an issue as Camnet. We also try to broaden to ensure that we also raise awareness on various issues pertaining to persons with disabilities to create an inclusive society. Well, this has been Patrick Soko. Until next time, I've been with my colleague Prudence Chota. Today, I had to accompany her. Of course, I'm used to Sharon.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to Camnet TV. Till next time, it's bye for now.